The gun was already out. Marcus Calvetti didn't reach for it. He didn't need to. His driver does that. 200 pounds of muscle and scar tissue, hands on the grip before the woman even finishes stepping forward. She's young, mid-20s, black dress, bare shoulders, hands shaking so hard the folded paper trembles between her fingers. The restaurant goes silent. Forks stop mid-air. Conversations die. Everyone in Giordano's knows who sits in the back corner booth. Everyone knows you don't approach that table unless you've been summoned. She approaches anyway. "Mr. Calvetti," she whispers. Her voice cracks. "Please." Marcus looks up from his veal. His eyes are the color of winter storms, gray, cold, measuring. He's 43, handsome in the way that power makes men handsome, the kind of face you see in federal indictments and society pages, never quite convicted, never quite clean. He doesn't take the note. "You have 10 seconds, he says. "I can't say it out loud." Her eyes flood. "Please, just read it." The driver's hand tightens on the gun. Marcus raises one finger. The hand relaxes. He takes the note, unfolds it, reads, and freezes. His face drains of color. The paper slips from his fingers, falls to the white tablecloth. Red wine in his glass trembles, sending dark ripples across the surface. The woman is already walking away, heels clicking on marble, faster and faster until she's running, the door slamming behind her. Marcus doesn't move, doesn't breathe, just stares at that piece of paper like it's a death sentence. His driver leans over, reads it. "Boss?" Marcus's voice comes out broken, raw. "Find her. You want me to find her now." The driver has never heard his boss sound like this, not in 15 years, not through wars, betrayals, federal raids, never like this. Like a man who's just seen a ghost, or realized he created one. Before we continue, if you're already hooked, show some love. Hit that like button, drop a comment, and let me know where you're watching from. And if you want more stories that'll keep you up at night, subscribe. Trust me, you'll want to see how this ends. Atlantic City had belonged to Marcus Calvetti for 11 years. Not officially. Nothing was official in his world. But every casino manager knew his number. Every union boss took his calls. Every judge who wanted to keep their seat knew which fundraisers to attend, which envelopes to accept, which cases to let slide. He'd built it from nothing, or rather, from blood. His father's organization had controlled 3 blocks of the boardwalk when Marcus was 20. By 30, he'd expanded it to half the city. By 40, he owned it all. The docks, the construction contracts, the luxury developments rising like glass tombstones along the shore. He didn't kill without reason. That was the old way, his father's way. Marcus was smarter, cleaner. He bought politicians instead of threatening them. He invested in legitimate businesses, buried the dirty money so deep even forensic accountants couldn't find it. He donated to children's hospitals, showed up at charity galas, smiled for cameras with the mayor. The FBI had been investigating him for 7 years. They had nothing and didn't dare to assume anything, because there was nothing to find. Just a successful businessman with an unfortunate last name and family history he couldn't escape. That's what he told himself, anyway. That's what he told a therapist he saw twice a month in Philadelphia, paying in cash, using a fake name. Dr. Sarah Brennan, who didn't ask questions, who listened to him talk about the weight of legacy, the cage of reputation, the exhaustion of being suspected for crimes he didn't commit. Crimes he didn't commit anymore. He'd been clean for 6 years. Not one body, not one racket, not one dirty deal. Just legitimate business, legitimate money, legitimate life. He was 43 years old, and he was tired. Tired of looking over his shoulder. Tired of watching his niece grow up knowing she'd never be allowed to visit his home without federal agents photographing her license plate. Tired of seeing his mother cry every Christmas, mourning the son she'd lost to a life she never wanted for him. He was getting out. 5 more years and he'd transfer everything to his cousin in Philadelphia, move to somewhere quiet. Montana, maybe. Wyoming. Somewhere you could see stars at night instead of casino lights. Somewhere you could forget who you used to be. The note changed everything, because the note said 3 words written in handwriting he didn't recognize. I'm your daughter. Her name was Riley Hart. It took Marcus's people 4 hours to find her. 4 hours of security footage, license plate readers, facial recognition software that cost more than most people's houses. She lived in a converted warehouse in Camden, New Jersey, 40 minutes from Atlantic City, working as a trauma nurse at Cooper University Hospital. 26 years old, no criminal record, no social media presence beyond a private Instagram with 12 followers. No father listed on her birth certificate. Marcus sat in the back of his Escalade outside her building at 2 a.m., watching the dark windows, trying to breathe normally. He'd been careful, so careful. 27 years ago, he was 16, dealing coke at house parties in Cherry Hill to save money for his own car. There was a girl, older, 19, college student at Rutgers. They'd spent one night together after a party. She'd said her name was Michelle. He never got her last name. He never saw her again. He thought about her sometimes over the years, wondered what happened to her. But he was 16 and stupid and drowning in his father's world, and she disappeared into the kind of past you don't dig up. Now, that past was in a 4th-floor apartment in Camden, possibly sleeping, possibly awake, possibly terrified. "You want me to go up?" his driver asked. "No." Marcus opened the door himself. "I go alone." Boss, alone. The building had no doorman, just a keypad entry. Marcus pressed every button until someone buzzed him in. The elevator smelled like weed and takeout. Graffiti covered the walls. Not gang tags, art tags. Colorful, creative. This was the kind of building young professionals moved into because they couldn't afford anything better, hoping the neighborhood would gentrify before they got mugged. Apartment 4C. Marcus knocked. Silence. He knocked again. The door opened 3 inches, chain lock engaged. Riley's face appeared in the gap. She wore scrubs, her hair pulled back, no makeup, eyes red from crying or not sleeping or both. "You shouldn't have come here," she said. "You gave me a note that said you're my daughter. What did you think I'd do?" "I don't know. Nothing. Everything," she laughed, a broken sound. "I just needed you to know." "Know what?" She closed her eyes. "That I exist." "Why now?" "Because I'm dying." Marcus felt the floor tilt. "What?" "Stage 4 pancreatic cancer, diagnosed 6 months ago. My mother died from it when I was 3. Genetic marker. I never had a chance." Her voice was clinical, detached, the way nurses talk about other people's tragedies. "I've got maybe 4 months left, maybe less." "No." The word came out harder than he intended. "No, you get treatment. I'll pay for anything. Mayo Clinic, Johns Hopkins, experimental trials, whatever." "I've done treatment. It didn't work. Nothing is going to work." "How do you know I'm—" He couldn't finish the sentence. She opened the door fully, chain off, walked to a dresser, pulled out a folder, handed it to him. Inside, a DNA test, ordered privately 3 months ago. Probability of paternity, 99.97%. "I took your coffee cup from Giordano's in August. The waiter's a friend from nursing school. I compared it to my own." She watched his face. "I wasn't trying to shake you down. I don't want money. I just wanted to meet you before I die. Know who my father is. Maybe understand where I come from." Marcus looked at the paper, looked at her, saw his own eyes staring back. The same gray, the same storm. His daughter, his dying daughter. He'd spent 6 years getting clean, building legitimate business, trying to escape the cage of his name. Now he had 4 months to be a father, and no idea how. Marcus didn't sleep that night, or the next. He sat in his penthouse overlooking the Atlantic City marina, watching boats drift in dark water, trying to process the arithmetic of grief. 4 months, maybe less. He'd missed 26 years. First steps, first words, first day of school, graduations, birthdays, every milestone, every moment, gone, erased. His daughter had grown up without him, and he hadn't even known she existed. Michelle Hart had never contacted him, never asked for child support, never tried to find him. She'd raised Riley alone, working 2 jobs, according to the file Marcus's investigator compiled. Died when Riley was 3, pancreatic cancer, same as Riley had now, same genetic mutation, passed from mother to daughter to death sentence. Riley had grown up in foster care, 5 different homes before she aged out at 18, put herself through community college, then nursing school. No help from anyone, just grit and scholarships and night shifts. She'd become exactly the kind of person Marcus would be proud of if he'd been there, if he'd known. His phone rang. His cousin Vincent calling from Philadelphia. "You sitting down?" Vincent said. "What is it?" "The feds are moving. I got word from our guy in the prosecutor's office. They're filing RICO charges next month against you, me, Uncle Sal, everyone. They've got a witness." Marcus closed his eyes. "Who?" "Tommy Esposito." The name hit him like a fist. Tommy, his father's old enforcer, the one who'd done the wet work Marcus had spent 6 years distancing himself from. Tommy knew everything about the old organization, the bodies, the bribes, the real structure beneath the legitimate facade. Tommy's been in prison for 8 years. Why would he flip now? His daughter needs a kidney transplant, experimental procedure, not covered by insurance, $500,000. The feds are paying for it in exchange for testimony. When does he testify? Grand jury in 6 weeks, trial in 6 months. Marcus laughed. It came out hollow, bitter. 6 months. His daughter had 4. He'd be indicted while she was dying, probably in federal custody before she went into hospice. He'd spend her final weeks in a cell, if he was lucky. If the judge denied bail, he'd miss her death entirely. "Marcus?" Vincent's voice. "You there?" "Yeah." "What do you want me to do?" Marcus looked out at the water. The city he'd built, the empire he'd spent 27 years creating, maintaining, defending. All of it became meaningless now. "Nothing," he said. "Let it happen." "Are you insane? We can deal with Tommy. 1 phone call." "No." "Marcus." I said no. His voice went cold. "I'm done. I've been done for 6 years. If they want to put me away for my father's crimes, fine. I'm not killing anyone else. Not for this, not for anything." He hung up, stood, and made a decision that would destroy everything he'd built. Marcus started showing up at Riley's apartment every morning at 7. The first time, she opened the door in pajamas, confused. "What are you doing here?" "I brought breakfast." He held up a bag from the bakery on Haddon Avenue. "Unless you don't eat breakfast." "I eat breakfast." "Then let me in." She did. They sat at her tiny kitchen table, eating bagels in silence, not knowing how to talk to each other. He was a mob boss trying to go legitimate. She was a dying nurse. They shared DNA and nothing else. But he kept coming back. Every morning for 2 weeks. Breakfast. Sometimes they talked, sometimes they didn't. He learned she liked her coffee with too much cream, that she'd been to nursing school in Vermont, that she'd always wanted to see Alaska but probably never would. He learned she was kind. Every conversation with her roommate, every phone call with a friend, every interaction with the bodega owner downstairs, she led with kindness. Genuine, unforced kindness that seemed impossible from someone dying at 26. "How were you not angry?" he asked one morning. "About what?" "Everything. The cancer, growing up without parents, me not being there." She looked at him. "You didn't know I existed. My mother chose not to tell you. That's on her, not you. I could have found her. You were 16. Still. Marcus. She said his name carefully, like testing the shape of it. Anger takes energy. I don't have energy to waste. He wanted to argue, wanted to rage against the unfairness of it, that she was dying, that he'd found her too late, that the universe had given him a daughter only to take her away. But she was right. Anger was a luxury neither of them could afford. So he stopped bringing just breakfast, started bringing lunch too when her hospital shifts allowed, then dinner. Started meeting her friends, the other nurses she worked with, the woman who ran the coffee shop where Riley spent her days off. Started learning who his daughter was in the time he had left. Started becoming her father. But the math never changed. Every morning, he counted the days. Every night, he watched her move a little slower, tire a little faster, fade a little more. The cancer was winning, and there was nothing he could do except show up. Until the day Riley said, "I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest." They were in his car, driving back from a specialist appointment in Philadelphia. Another doctor, another grim prognosis, another confirmation that nothing was going to save her. "What is it?" Marcus said. "The man who testified against your father 20 years ago, Michael Preston. What happened to him?" Marcus's hands tightened on the wheel. "Why are you asking about Michael Preston?" "Because he was my foster father from age 7 to 13, before the state moved me because of concerns about his safety." The car swerved slightly. Marcus corrected it. "He testified against Dad, then disappeared into witness protection with his family. But his daughter, his biological daughter, she used to babysit me. We stayed in touch after I left. She told me what really happened." Marcus pulled over, put the car in park, stared straight ahead. "What did she tell you?" "That your family found him anyway, that he disappeared one night and no one ever saw him again, that his mother had a breakdown and she ended up in foster care too." Silence. "I need to know if that's true. I need to know if the man who took care of me when I had no one else is dead because of your family." Marcus closed his eyes. "Yes." The word hung between them like smoke. "Did you kill him?" "No, I was 19. My father ordered it. My uncle carried it out." "But you knew?" "I knew." Riley nodded slowly, looked out the window at the highway traffic, the Philadelphia skyline in the distance. "Okay." "Okay? Thank you for telling me the truth. You're not angry?" "I told you, I don't have energy for anger." She turned back to him. "But I need to know something else. If you had the chance to do it again, would you?" "No." "Even if it meant your father went to prison?" "Especially then." She studied his face, looking for lies, finding none. "Good," she said, "because I need you to promise me something. Anything. When I die, don't let my death turn you back into who you used to be. Don't use grief as an excuse to hurt people. Promise me." Marcus felt his throat close. "Riley, promise me." He looked at his daughter, this woman he barely knew, but loved with a ferocity that terrified him. This person who'd grown up without him and still chose kindness, still chose mercy, still believed he could be better. "I promise." She smiled, took his hand. "Then let's go home." He drove, and neither of them mentioned that in 3 months, she wouldn't have a home to go to. The call came on a Tuesday. Marcus was in his office at the marina, reviewing legitimate construction contracts, when Vincent burst in without knocking. "We've got a problem." "What kind of problem?" "Tommy Esposito's daughter died. Kidney transplant failed. He's withdrawing his testimony." Marcus looked up. "That's not a problem, that's a solution." "It would be, except the feds have a backup witness now. Someone from the old crew who's willing to testify about the Preston murder." The air left the room. "Who?" "Leo Martinelli." Marcus stood. "Leo's been out of the game for 15 years. "Not out enough. He was there the night Preston died. He drove the car. And his grandson just got arrested for dealing heroin. Federal charges, mandatory minimum 20 years, unless Leo cooperates. So he's trading his grandson's freedom for my life. Essentially, yes. Marcus walked to the window, looked out at the boats, the water, the city that had been his kingdom and his prison. When does he testify? Next week. Riley has maybe 6 weeks left. You'll be indicted before she dies. Trial will be next year. After she's gone. Yeah. Marcus turned. What are my options? Vincent hesitated. Leo's vulnerable. He lives alone in Margate, house on the beach, no security. We could... No. Marcus, if he testifies... I said no. His voice cut through the room. I made a promise. To who? To someone who matters more than any of this. He gestured at the office, the empire, everything. I'm not killing anyone. Not Leo, not anyone. Then you're going to prison for the rest of your life. I know. Vincent stared at him. You've lost your mind. Maybe, or maybe I finally found it. She's dying, Marcus. In a few months, she'll be gone, and you'll be in a cell, and all of this, everything Dad built, everything you protected, will be gone too. Good. Let it be gone. It should have died with him. Marcus sat back down, picked up a pen, went back to his contracts like Vincent wasn't there. Vincent left without another word. That night, Marcus drove to Camden. Riley was in the hospital, a routine admission, her oncologist had said, just to manage pain and fluid buildup, nothing urgent. But everything with Riley was urgent now. Every day was borrowed time. He found her in a shared room on the oncology floor, hooked to an IV, watching a documentary about wolves in Yellowstone. You should be resting, he said. I'll rest when I'm dead. She smiled, weak but real. Sit, tell me about your day. He sat, told her about the construction contract, the new development in Ventnor, the boring details of legitimate business. Did not tell her about Leo, about the choice he'd made, about the cage closing in. You're lying, she said. What? You're lying. Something's wrong. I can tell. I'm fine. Marcus. She said it like a mother correcting a child, not a daughter addressing a father. I'm dying. I don't have time for lies. What's wrong? So he told her. Everything. The investigation, the witnesses, the case the feds were building, the probability that he'd be indicted in weeks, in custody before she died. I'm sorry, he finished. I wanted more time. Riley was quiet for a long moment. There's a way, she said. A way to what? To give you more time, to keep you out of prison at least until I'm gone. Riley. My friend Janelle, she works in the federal prosecutor's office, legal assistant. We went to nursing school together before she switched careers. Marcus went very still. And? She owes me a favor, a big one. I saved her mother's life last year during a cardiac episode in the hospital. Janelle said if I ever needed anything. What are you suggesting? She has access to witness files. She could tell us where Leo's staying, when he's testifying, what he knows. You could use that information to delay the case, file motions, challenge evidence, whatever lawyers do. Riley, that's obstruction of justice. I know. You could go to prison. I'm going to die in 6 weeks. What are they going to do? Prosecute a corpse? No. Riley, absolutely not. I'm not letting you risk your final weeks to help me. Why not? You're my father. This is what family does. No, family doesn't drag dying daughters into federal crimes. She grabbed his hand. Her grip was weak, but fierce. I've got 6 weeks left, maybe less. I don't want to spend them watching you disappear into the system. I want to spend them with you. Let me do this. Riley, please. The word broke him. He looked at his daughter, this woman he'd known for 8 weeks, who'd become the most important person in his world, and made the second worst decision of his life. Okay, Janelle Martinez agreed to meet at a diner in Pensacola. 3 a.m., empty parking lot, November rain turning the asphalt black. Marcus waited in his car with Riley. She was wearing a coat 3 sizes too big, trying to hide how much weight she'd lost. Her skin had taken on a yellow tint. Jaundice, the doctor said, the cancer spreading to her liver. "You sure about this?" Marcus asked. "Yes. It's not too late to walk away." "Marcus." She squeezed his hand. "I'm sure." Janelle arrived in a Honda Civic, parked 3 spaces away. Got out slowly, looking around like she expected an ambush. Riley climbed out to meet her. Marcus stayed in the car, watching through the rain-streaked windshield. The 2 women talked for 5 minutes. Janelle handed Riley a manila envelope. Riley hugged her. Janelle got back in her car and drove away. Riley returned, soaking wet, clutching the envelope. "She did it," Riley said. "Everything. Leo's address, testimony date, the evidence they have. All of it." Marcus opened the envelope. Inside, documents, witness statements, a full breakdown of the federal case. And something else. A transcript of a recorded conversation between Leo Martinelli and the FBI. Marcus read it once, twice, felt the words rearrange reality. "No." "What is it?" Riley asked. He handed her the transcript. She read, went pale. Oh my God. The conversation was dated 8 months ago, before Riley had ever approached Marcus, before she'd handed him that note at Giordano's. "Leo Martinelli, you want Marcus Calvetti? I can give him to you, but I need something first." "What, FBI agent?" "Leo, there's a girl, Riley Hart, nurse at Cooper Hospital. She's Marcus's daughter. I have proof, a private DNA test I commissioned. He doesn't know she exists yet, but if she approaches him, he'll care. If he cares, he's vulnerable. FBI agent, what are you suggesting?" "Leo, I'm suggesting you use her. Let her get close to him, then turn her, offer her immunity, threaten her with obstruction, whatever works. A dying daughter will do anything to protect her father, including wear a wire." FBI agent, and you know this how? "Leo, because I helped raise her. I was her foster father for 6 years. I know exactly who she is." Riley's hands shook holding the paper. "Marcus." "Marcus." His voice came out flat, dead. "Leo knew who you were. He's the one who had the DNA test done. He's the one who orchestrated all of this." "Why?" "Because I killed his son." Silence. 15 years ago, Leo's son, Anthony Martinelli, was skimming money from the family. My father ordered me to handle it. I was 28, trying to prove I was capable of running the organization. So I did what I was told. I killed Anthony Martinelli, made it look like a drug deal gone wrong. Riley stared at him. Leo never said anything, never complained, never retaliated. Just disappeared from the life, moved to Margate, lived quietly. I thought he'd accepted it, the cost of doing business in our world. But he didn't. No. He waited 15 years, found out about you, knew that if I cared about you, I'd be vulnerable, that you'd trust me to help me, and that would give them leverage. They wanted me to wear a wire. That's what Janelle warned you about. That's why she gave you this file, because they're going to approach you next, offer you immunity in exchange for recording my conversations. And when you refuse, they'll threaten to charge you with obstruction for helping me tonight. Riley's breathing quickened. "What do we do?" "You don't do anything. You go home. You forget this happened." "Marcus." "I'll turn myself in, plead guilty, take a deal, serve whatever time they want, but I won't let them use you. I won't let Leo destroy you to get revenge on me." "They'll put you away for life." "I know." "You'll die in prison." "I know." Tears ran down her face. "I just wanted time with you." Marcus pulled her close, held her against his chest. She was so small now, so fragile, bones and skin in borrowed hours. "You have me," he whispered, "for however long I have left outside. That's what matters." But even as he said it, he knew the math. Her 6 weeks, his freedom, both running out faster than either of them could count. And Leo Martinelli had stolen it all. Marcus turned himself in on a Thursday morning. He drove to the federal building in Camden, walked through the metal detectors, and told the receptionist he was there to see Assistant U.S. Attorney Bradley Morrison. Morrison came down personally, surprise written across his face. "Mr. Calvetti? I'm here to confess. To everything. Michael Preston, the racketeering, all of it." Morrison stared at him. "You want to confess?" "Yes, on one condition." "What condition?" "Riley Hart gets full immunity for anything she did, anything she knew, anything you plan to charge her with. She walks away clean." "She's your daughter." "I know. You're willing to plead guilty to murder to protect her?" "I'm willing to plead guilty to murder because I'm guilty of murder. The protection is just the price of my cooperation." Morrison studied him. "She has cancer, we know. We weren't going to charge her. But you were going to pressure her, threaten her, use her to get to me. That was Leo's idea. We never agreed to it." "Then this makes it easier. I confess, you get your conviction, Riley stays out of it entirely. Do we have a deal?" Morrison looked at him for a long time. "Yeah, we have a deal." Marcus signed the papers that afternoon. Allocution, plea agreement, sentencing guidelines. 25 to life, federal custody, no parole. They processed him that evening. Fingerprints, photos, orange jumpsuit. Put him in a cell to await sentencing. Riley was waiting when he called. "You idiot," she said. Her voice was weak, barely a whisper. She was in hospice now, the hospital bed too close to the end. "You didn't have to do this." "Yes, I did." "You're going to die in prison. And you're going to die free. That's all that matters." She was crying. He could hear it through the phone. "I wanted more time." "Me too, sweetheart. Me too. I love you." The words came out choked. "I know I shouldn't. I know we barely know each other, but I do." Marcus closed his eyes. "I love you too." The line went quiet. Just breathing. Two people, father and daughter, connected by phone and DNA, and the cruelest kind of timing. "I need you to do something for me. Anything. When I die, I want you to forgive Leo." "Leo?" "Riley. He lost his son. I understand that kind of pain now. I understand what losing family does to you, what it makes you capable of. He tried to destroy you. And you destroyed his son first. The cycle has to end somewhere. Let it end with me." Marcus wanted to argue, wanted to tell her that Leo didn't deserve forgiveness, that some betrayals were unforgivable. But she was dying, and she was asking. "Okay," he said. "I forgive him." "Thank you." "Riley." "Yeah?" "You made me a better man. I need you to know that." "You were always a better man. You just needed a reason to show it." They talked until the guard said time was up. Marcus hung up the phone, went back to his cell, and waited. Riley died 3 weeks later. Hospice nurse called Marcus's lawyer, who called the prison. They let Marcus attend the funeral in shackles, 2 U.S. Marshals standing guard while he stood over his daughter's grave. She'd asked to be cremated, ashes scattered off the Atlantic City pier, where the ocean met the sky. Marcus stood on that pier at dawn, still handcuffed, and watched the wind carry her away. 26 years old, gone, like she'd never existed. Except she had existed. For 8 weeks, she'd been his daughter. For 8 weeks, he'd been her father. And in those 8 weeks, she'd given him something he'd never had before. A reason to be better. A reason to mean the promises he made. A reason to forgive. He found Leo Martinelli after his sentencing, 2 years into his term, requested a meeting through his lawyer. Leo came, old and broken, looking like a man who'd won a war but lost everything that mattered. "I forgive you," Marcus said. Leo stared at him. "What?" "Riley asked me to before she died, so I'm telling you now. I forgive you for what you did, and I'm sorry for what I did to your son. It doesn't fix anything, but it's true." Leo's face crumpled. Tears ran down weathered cheeks. "I wanted to destroy you." "I know. I wanted you to feel what I felt." "I do. I lost her too." Leo nodded slowly, put his hand on the glass between them. Marcus put his hand on the other side. 2 old men, 2 dead children, 2 lifetimes of violence finally ending in silence. Marcus Calvetti served 19 years before he died of a heart attack in federal prison. He never got out, never saw the sky without bars, never felt sand under his feet again. But he kept his promise. He didn't hurt anyone else, didn't let grief turn him back into who he'd been. Spent his time teaching GED classes to younger inmates, sponsoring men trying to get clean, being the person Riley believed he could be. In his cell, he kept one photo. Riley, smiling, taking during one of their breakfasts together. The only proof she'd been real. The only proof he'd been a father, even if just for 8 weeks. Some nights he'd look at that photo and wonder what would have happened if she'd lived, if they'd found her earlier, if they'd had years instead of weeks. But mostly, he looked at it and felt grateful, because for 8 weeks he'd known his daughter. For 8 weeks, he'd been the man she needed him to be. And that was enough. It had to be enough. Because that's all the time they had. Some stories don't end the way we want them to. Some people don't get the time they deserve. But that doesn't mean the time they had didn't matter. If this story hit you the way it hit me, don't just scroll away. Let me know in the comments. What would you have done in Marcus's place? Would you have made the same choice? And if you want more stories that'll stay with you long after they end, hit that subscribe button. Because the truth is, the best stories aren't the ones with happy endings. They're the ones that make you feel something real. Thanks for watching. And remember, time is the one thing you can't buy back. Spend it with the people who matter, before it's too late.